Every morning, we face a moment of decision. For most of us, it's whether to hit the snooze button. For the last 30 days, mine has been a little more intense. It has been a deliberate choice to stand in front of a shower and crank the handle all the way to cold. That's right. Every single morning, for 30 days straight, I took on the cold shower challenge to see if it was just a bunch of hype, or if it could actually change my body and mind. And what I found was not at all what I expected. This is what happens when you embrace the cold. So why would anyone willingly do this? To be honest, I was feeling stuck. My energy was in a constant nosedive, I was mentally foggy, and my get up and go had got up and left. I'd heard the stories about biohackers and athletes like Wim Hof who swear by the power of cold water. They talk it up like it's a miracle cure, promising boosted immunity, laser focus, and unbreakable willpower. Frankly, it sounded way too good to be true. But I was desperate enough to try anything. I set the ground rules. 30 days in a row, no skipping. I could start my shower warm to get clean, but I had to finish with at least 30 seconds of pure, teeth-chattering cold. The goal was to work my way up to 2 minutes. I was skeptical, nervous, and if I'm being honest, I was completely dreading it. I pictured 30 days of absolute misery. Turns out I was mostly wrong. Day 1 was, in a single word, brutal. I stood there in the warm steam, giving myself a pep talk that felt more like a eulogy for my comfortable morning routine. I took a deep breath and I turned the handle. The shock was instant and primal. It felt like 1,000 icy needles jabbing at my skin. I let out a gasp, a reaction scientists actually call the initial inspiratory gasp, and my whole body went into panic mode. Every muscle tensed up, and every instinct screamed at me to turn it off. I did a weird, frantic dance, made some noises I'm not proud of, and counted down the longest 30 seconds of my life. But when I finally shut off the water, shivering and red, something strange happened. Through the chattering teeth, I felt a surge of something, a clean electric feeling. I was wide awake. It's a kind of alertness that coffee can't quite replicate, even if it's a bit short-lived. My mind, which was just full of dread, was suddenly quiet. It was just pure, raw sensation. The next few days were a repeat of this daily battle. The dread before, the shock during, and that weirdly energizing buzz after. I can't say I was enjoying it. It was a mental fight every morning. The warmth of my bed felt like a siren's call, and the cold shower felt like punishment. In that first week, I didn't notice any big life changes. The main event was the struggle itself, forcing myself to do something I really didn't want to do. But every day I stuck with it felt like a small win, a tiny deposit into a new bank account of self-discipline. Little did I know, that was kind of the whole point. Around day 8 or 9, something started to shift. The dread was still there, but it was more of a whisper than a roar. The shock was still shocking, but it was a familiar feeling now. My body's reaction was less of a full-on panic. I figured out how to control my breathing, taking long, slow exhales just as the cold hit. That was a game changer. Instead of fighting the sensation, I was learning to breathe through it. 30 seconds started to feel less like forever and more like a challenge I could actually beat. So I pushed it to a minute. This is when I noticed the first real, undeniable benefit. My mindset. I'm not a morning person. I usually wake up groggy and a little grumpy about the day ahead. But after my minute of cold, I felt good, clear-headed, even optimistic. That post-shower buzz from week 1 wasn't just physical, it felt like it was putting me in a genuinely better headspace. Naturally, I turned to Google. It turns out, this feeling isn't just in my head. The shock of cold water triggers your body's fight-or-flight response, causing a release of hormones and neurotransmitters. It prompts the release of norepinephrine, which is linked to focus and alertness. Some studies have even found that cold water immersion can spike dopamine, the molecule tied to motivation. So, in a way, I was giving my brain a jolt of natural focus to start the day. This might explain why my morning fog was lifting and why I felt more ready to tackle my workday. The challenge was becoming less about pain and more of a strategic tool. By week 3, the cold shower was becoming a non-negotiable part of my morning. I was consistently hitting 2 minutes, and while enjoyable is still a strong word, the mental battle was over. It was just what I did. And this is when some of the physical perks started to show up. First, my recovery after exercise. I work out regularly, and muscle soreness is just part of the deal. After a tough leg day, I'd normally be waddling around for 2 days, but I did a similar workout in week 3 and braced for the usual pain. The next morning, the soreness was noticeably muted. It was more of a dull reminder than a sharp, wince-inducing pain. The idea is that cold water causes blood vessels to constrict, which can help reduce inflammation. It's the same reason athletes use ice baths, though a brief cold shower is a much less intense version. Then there was the thing everyone talks about: immunity. A cold was making the rounds in my office, and I was sure I was next. I felt that dreaded tickle in my throat one night and thought, here we go. I woke up, did my cold shower routine, and the tickle was gone. I managed to stay healthy all month despite the symphony of coughs around me. Now, this is just my personal story, but it does echo some interesting research. A large study in the Netherlands found that people who took daily hot to cold showers called in sick from work 29% less than a control group. But here's the key detail. They didn't necessarily get sick less often, but they reported their symptoms felt less severe and they had more energy to power through the day. Some theories suggest cold exposure can impact the immune system, but the science is still out. Whatever was happening, I felt more resilient. Okay, we're 3 weeks in, and I'm feeling more energetic, recovering a bit faster, and I dodged the office plague. It's pretty wild. If you're finding this journey interesting, or if you're thinking about taking on a challenge of your own, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It's a small click for you, but it lets me know this is helpful, and you won't miss the final results of this experiment. The final week was less about discovering new benefits and more about a mental shift that took me by surprise. The cold shower wasn't a chore anymore. It had become an anchor for my day. And the biggest change had nothing to do with my body and everything to do with my brain. It was a newfound feeling of mental toughness. Here's the theory I landed on. By intentionally doing something difficult first thing in the morning, every other challenge in my day just seemed less daunting. That awkward phone call I had to make, the big project on my to-do list, neither seemed as intimidating as willingly standing under a stream of icy water. This is related to a concept called hormesis, the idea that a small, controlled dose of stress can strengthen your system and make you more resilient to future stress. That moment of decision, turning the handle from warm to cold, is like a micro dose of courage. It's a choice to step outside your comfort zone. When you do that every day, you're training your brain not to automatically retreat from discomfort. You're teaching yourself that you can stay calm and in control even when your body is freaking out. This sense of control started spilling into other parts of my life. I felt less rattled by daily annoyances and more capable of handling problems with a clear head. On a less profound note, my skin seemed to look a little better. It felt less puffy in the mornings and had a brighter appearance. While hot water can strip your skin of its natural oils, cold water can temporarily tighten pores and constrict blood vessels, which might give you a healthier look. It wasn't why I started, but it was a nice little bonus. On day 30, I stood in front of the shower, and for the first time there was no dread, no debate, just acceptance. I turned the handle, and as the water hit me, it was still just as cold, but it was a familiar cold. A feeling I now associated with strength, not suffering. As I stepped out after 2 minutes, I felt a huge sense of accomplishment. So was it worth it? 100% yes. To sum up the 30-day journey, here are the top 5 benefits I genuinely experienced. First, an immediate jolt of morning energy. It's different from coffee. It's a clean alertness that sets a powerful tone for the day. Second, muted muscle soreness. My body seemed to bounce back a bit quicker from workouts, which helped me stay consistent. Third, feeling more resilient. Anecdotally, I felt healthier and successfully avoided getting sick, which lines up with studies showing people who take cold showers take fewer sick days from work. Fourth, a clearer, brighter headspace. The morning fog lifted, and I generally felt more positive and motivated to start my day. And finally, the most important one, a daily dose of discipline. This challenge was never really about the cold. It was about my reaction to it. It was a daily practice in courage and embracing discomfort, and that has made me feel mentally tougher in all areas of my life. Is it a miracle cure? No. It won't solve all your problems, and let's be real, those first couple of minutes can be tough. It takes real commitment, but the rewards, both seen and unseen, are profound. Looking back, this 30-day challenge was one of the most transformative experiments I've ever done. It started as a physical test, but quickly became a mental one. It taught me that growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens right at the edge of your limits, in that split second of hesitation before you decide to take the plunge. So, the big question, will I keep doing it? Absolutely. Maybe not every single day for the rest of my life, but cold showers have earned a permanent spot in my toolkit for feeling better and stronger. That feeling of conquering something hard first thing in the morning is just too valuable to give up. Now, I want to turn it over to you. Have you ever tried the cold shower challenge? What was your experience? Or if you're thinking about it, what's holding you back? Drop a comment below. I genuinely love to hear from you and start a conversation. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And if you want to see more experiments in self-improvement, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Embrace the cold. You might be surprised at what you find.